Hello, everybody. Dan here with The Wealth Instinct. I wanted to share with you my review of the book Crucial Conversations: Tools for Talking When Stakes Are High. But first, if I could ask you to do me a favor and subscribe to my channel and click the bell icon so you get notifications. I share a lot of content about business, mindset, personal development, and leadership. This book is, uh, is such an amazing book. Honestly, I feel like it's so underrated. I guess it says there's 4 million copies sold, so there's some other people who agree. But it's one that was recommended to me through this coaching program I was doing, and it really applies. Like I think the authors focus on sort of the business environment, but it applies in all aspects of life. And I think these tools, they're probably taught in different ways in different places. But these authors sort of, and the story they tell is they kind of stumbled on this idea when they were doing consulting work, and there was this executive, I think Kevin, and they had interviewed all these people in the company and said, "Who's the most effective leader here?" And Kevin stood out as the most effective by far, but he seemed kind of unremarkable until they went to this one meeting when they were trying to make this crucial decision about the future of the company. And some of the execs were presenting their ideas, and everyone was kind of questioning them and asking about, what would be best. And then the CEO basically tried to bully everybody into moving the company to his hometown, and was using his power to stop the challenges and to kind of control the situation. And Kevin just quietly stood up or maybe not physically stood up, but basically said, "Hey, I can I ask you a question? This is what it sounds like is happening to me, and I think, you're, he basically told him in a polite way that I think you're violating your own rules for how to make decisions, and I think you're kind of trying to force us to move this closer to your hometown, and it's not what's best for the company." And it's one of those situations where the tension is really high, right? And that's one of the things about crucial conversations, where the stakes, there's a lot of tension and there's a lot riding on the outcome, and so it's easy to get emotional, it's easy to get defensive, and this happens like to all of us all the time, and I like, this happens to me all the time, and I need to go reread this book. And I think the critical thing is to kind of catch yourself when you're starting to react emotionally, and take a pause, right? Like, and they give some really good like rules for how to deal with it. Um, but ultimately, they talk about staying focused on what you really want. I think it's so easy to get caught up in trying to be right, and 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 get and trying to win a battle, and forgetting sight of the larger picture you're trying to deal with, and and keeping the conversation safe. Um, everyone, just because you can win an argument doesn't mean that, and I use the term win loosely, but everyone is going to show up in situations differently in different contexts. And if you're not able to allow them to be heard, the other person, if you're not really allowing them to be heard and letting them know that you're hearing them, you're not going to have an effective communication. And sometimes people have more varying amounts of power in a conversation, and so you have to be really aware of that. Um, and that's why you got to really, keep the conversation safe for the person you're talking to. Take into account their how they're feeling, and their relationship to you. Now, it's going to be very different from like a parent to a child versus a boss to an employee versus two vice presidents to each other, right? Like, there's different power dynamics, and different things at stake. Um, but they offer just some really good guidelines for how to handle these conversations, which I won't try to go into detail in and explain. I think the authors do a much better job of that. But what I think is important is to realize that we all fall into these conversations on a regular basis, and often we're not prepared because the conversation comes out of nowhere. You might be talking to someone about something completely innocuous, and then they suddenly bring up something that's been bothering them for a while, and they're emotionally hurt, and don't feel, they might feel disrespected, and it could, the outcome of that conversation could affect your business, it could affect your relationship, it could affect your happiness and quality of life for some time. And it's easy to mess it up. It's easy to get reactive and emotional, and that's like the natural tendency, I think, is for us to do, is to do that. And so they have some really good strategies for staying calm, for making sure you feel the other person is heard, for not falling for this, like either this or that, but this and that. Like, it doesn't have to be a win-lose. It doesn't have to be, and I think that's where a lot of people get stuck. They think, well, if you get your way, then I don't get mine, and it's win-lose. And it's like, well, what if there's a way that we can figure out how to meet all of our needs, and how to be persuasive but not abrasive, right? Like, you want to state your case without rubbing people the wrong way, and make sure that you're sharing the relevant information. Sometimes we think that other people understand our point of view, but they're focused on their point of view, and just sharing, like, what they call the pool of information. So definitely, I definitely, this is a book that I sort of, look back to a lot, because it's one of those skills in life that I think we can all improve at, and it's something that it's something that is so critical in life, and that, like I said, these conversations catch you off guard, so it's so easy to mess them up. and it's so easy, and what happens most of the time is people just avoid them, like, oh, I can't talk to that person, there's this problem, and we just can't talk about it, and just learning how to talk about it in a safe way, so that you can make the other person feel heard, and you can share your needs, is really a critical skill in life, and it could really take you a long way to getting more of what you want and having more success in your business and your relationships. So, like I said, I'm not going to try to explain everything the authors explain, other than just to say, like how important I think this is for everyone. I think, like, this should be a class taught in high school, like, just how to communicate more effectively, and how to handle these difficult conversations. So love to hear your thoughts and comments. If you have any books you recommend, or if you've read this one, what you think. And just thank you so much for listening, and we'll talk soon.